Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Coffee here, and today we're doing our whip and chat. Whip stands for work in progress, so get out whatever that is for you. Work along with me as I tell you some stories from the coffee house shenanigans. Now I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I know we did here at the coffee house, and I can't wait to tell you guys all about the adventures of the coffees going on, like our little day trips. So again, I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you're having a wonderful day the day you're watching this. I was just watching Stitcherista, and something about watching Stitcherista always gets me pumped. I don't know what it is. So she was one of the first people I watched on YouTube when I first started watching YouTube, and she's part of the reason why I even have a channel in the first place. So huge props to Stitcherista out here doing her thing. So yeah. Anyways, so last week Mr. Coffee was on vacation, which this was his first, as we call it, big boy vacation. It was a vacation that he didn't have to worry about like financially crippling us if he decided to take a couple of days off. So it was nice. He got an entire week off, and we got to spend some much needed quality time together, which was great because it was very much needed. I have been in a weird headspace lately, and I just wanted to spend some time with him and talk with him because, you know, it helps me figure out what I want to do with myself. So we had decided that we were going to take our 3 major trips this year: the zoo and the north and south end of the Badlands. So we decided to do the north end first because I had to wait on a Diamond Art Club sneak peek to come in. It came in a little bit late. I believe they're still having, or they're still trying to iron out the issues with their shipping when it's coming from the new factory. So the sneak peek got here a little bit late, but I was able to get it up on time. So that's all that really matters. But I still, like, we were trying to figure out, like, what to do that day because we didn't want to sit home all day. It was one of my days off of streaming because I stream 5 days over on Twitch. So it's essentially Wednesday through Sunday is I stream on Twitch. And so this was Tuesday, and Mr. Coffee was like, well, let's just go to the north end of the Badlands because it's only an hour away. So I was like, all right. So our first thing we do is, you know, we go and get snacks. So we're at the store, we're over there looking at snacks and what to get, and I already know I have limitations, okay? When you don't have a gallbladder, you have limitations when it comes to buying stuff at the store, especially if you're eating something at the store, because at any moment, anything you eat can trigger something in your stomach to go, yeah, no, this isn't sitting well with us. We already had it happen once, if y'all remember the trip to Montana a few months ago, and us having to pull over in the Badlands to go to the bathroom because I ate a breakfast sandwich that did not sit right with my stomach. So I get really scared when there's no other way to put that. I get really scared when it comes to eating food from convenience stores because I know there's a 50-50 shot whether or not it's going to upset my stomach or not. But they had this really good looking riblet sandwich, okay? And it's funny because I was telling my Twitch mods about this sandwich, and I was like, this sandwich looks so good, oh my god. And they're like, you know, you probably shouldn't eat that. I'm doing it. I did it. Did I regret it? No, because nothing happened. I don't know what it is and why it's only certain foods. Maybe it's because of how old the food is or whatever, but I had no issues and I was super excited. So we make our long journey after getting our snacks. We make our long journey down to the north end of the Badlands. There was a lot of construction, and I was trying to figure out why there was so much construction because typically on that particular road, we don't typically see a whole lot of construction. Apparently, they were turning the 2-lane into a 4-lane, so they had a lot of construction vehicles and everything else going on, and I was like, I wonder how this affects the animals at the Badlands because it's right at the top of the lookout point before you enter into the Badlands. And so I was just like, our usual stop before we get into the Badlands was blocked off by construction equipment. I'm like, god dang it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm really hoping, it was like 84 degrees that day. I was like, I'm really hoping the animals aren't just all hiding out or whatever. So Mr. Coffee is like, you know, are we going to our normal trails that we typically go hiking on? And I'm like, yeah, I think we can go to the normal trails or maybe even find a new one. So we're driving into the Badlands. And we don't, you know, we get in there and there's a bathroom right at the beginning of the trail before you get into there. And Mr. Coffee, of course, you know, he stops and is like, does anybody need to go to the bathroom? And of course, Maggie did. So me, being the paranoid person I am, knowing the last time I came to this bathroom, there was a wolf out there trying to eat my booty like groceries. So I'm looking around like it's not completely daytime this time. Like a wolf is just going to magically appear and try to run after me or something. I'm looking around trying to find out, like, you know, if there's any animals around. See no animals or anything, so I just, you know, go up to the bathroom. We're in the bathroom, and I have on a pair of shorts, okay? So, because it's warm outside, why wouldn't I wear shorts? So, I'm wearing shorts, and in my shorts is my key card. My key card, if y'all remember, is the card that I use to get into the house. And, and it was in my back pocket. So, I'm not realizing this or caring, because usually if something's in your pocket and you go to the bathroom, you're not really worried about it falling out of your pocket. Now, these are a new pair of shorts that I got from that box, the Stitch Fix box. And I had a couple people ask me about it, and I do apologize for not putting it in. And I talked about it, but I forgot to put the link in. And I think I can get you a discount. I'm not, like, partnered or anything with them, but they have, like, a refer a friend code. And so, like, I'm going to put the refer a friend code in the description box, because I forgot to last time, and I had a bunch of people like, hey, you said about some box? Now, it is a subscription box of clothes. The clothes can be a little pricey, so just a heads up so you're not, like, culture shocked when you go in there. Anyways, so I'm in the bathroom, go to the bathroom, go to pull my pants up. As I pull my pants up, the card falls into the toilet. Now, I look down into the toilet, and all I can think of is, oh, hell no. Oh, boy. What do I do? What do I do? Yeah. Looking at it. And I'm looking at it real hard. Like, I'm having a staring contest with this card. Because I'm like, I don't really want to stick my hand in there. So, I have a choice to make. Do I stick my hand in there and get the card off, wash it off, put it back in my pocket, and go on about my day? Or, like, what do I do? Well, I had to get it out because, one, it would clog the toilet. And two, I don't think they would appreciate it if I just left that in there. So, unfortunately, I had to get it out. I was completely disgusted, and I was just like, okay. Threw it in the trash. Had to call them this morning to get a new key card, because what I'm not about to do is walk around with a card that I just peed on all in my pocket. No, I'm not doing that. So I threw the key card away, let them know this morning that I lost it, and they gave me a new one. But I had to tell Mr. Coffee, and I'm looking at Mr. Coffee, and I have my hand kind of like this, and he's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I had to get my key card out the toilet. He's like, wait, what? What key card? I'm like, for the house. He's like, why'd you have to get it out of the toilet? I'm like, because it fell out of my jeans. He's like, oh, God. And I was like, yeah. He goes, well, did you wash your hands? Of course I washed my hands. And he's like, then why'd you throw it away? I'm not walking around with that P card in my pocket. He's like, P card, you such a guy. So we decided to go on our merry way. We drive into the park, and Mr. Coffee's like, our first stop is coming up, so everybody put your shoes and stuff on, because usually when we drive long distances, everybody takes their shoes off in the car. And so he's like, everybody put your shoes on, time to take the drive to the park. So we get into our first spot where we typically go to walk the trail. And right as we go to park, Mr. Coffee goes, I don't think we're going to this trail. And I was like, well, why not? And I look up, sure enough, there's a big old buffalo sitting there chilling. And I was like, what do we do? And he's like, what do you mean, what do we do? I'm like, what do we do? And he's like, we find another trail? I was like, well, yeah. And Maggie's like, why can't we just go pet it? No, it's not a dog. That's not a dog. That's a whole bison, ma'am. We're not going over to pet it. And Orion's like, maybe we can ask it to move nicely. Sir, you can't even be nice to your sister for an hour. You're going to talk to a whole bison and ask it nicely to move and think it's going to get up and be like, oh, my apologies. Didn't mean to startle you. Let me go ahead and move. So I was like, no. I'm like, okay, just back out slowly and let's go find another trail. So we drive, and we're driving around. We're enjoying the view, and Mr. Coffee and I are talking. And the kids are back there, like, just kind of looking around and playing on their phones and stuff. And we find a second trail. And on the second trail, we find, sure enough, there is, like, a bunch of prairie dogs. And I'm like, looks like we're going to have to find yet another trail. And Mr. Coffee's like, why? I'm like, there's prairie dogs. And he's like, you're scared of the prairie dogs? Sir, these are wild animals, okay? They're all wild animals. I'm scared of all of them, okay? All of them could attack and eat us, okay? So, yeah, I'm scared of the prairie dogs. And if you've never seen prairie dogs, they kind of look like fat ferrets. Like, they look like little stubbier fat ferrets. And so I'm sitting there like, I'm not about to walk by no prairie dogs. He goes, they'll run away anyways. They're very skittish around people. And I'm like, you don't understand. These are gangster prairie dogs. They don't care about people. They live here, okay? People come here to stare at them all the time. They're probably not scared of us, and they would probably bite our ankles if we came near them. He goes, you are so dramatic. I am, and I will be, but I'm not getting out of this car to go walk around no ferrets. So we had to find a couple of new trails this time to walk down, and I'm glad we did. We saw some newer views that we have never seen before. The kids seemed to really enjoy it because they could run around in the woods and be happy and merry. And I told them, you know, stop running around so much, because if something comes out of these woods, look, listen, if you think I'm running up there to get you and then running back the way my life and my lungs are set up, I can't. So I'm gonna need y'all to chill out. So we enjoy the view. Me and Miss Coffee are still talking. We pretty much talked the entire time, obviously, because like there's been a lot going on in my brain that I really needed to get out. And so I was talking to Mr. Coffee about it, and he helped shed some light on things that I had already been thinking and stuff. And it was just really nice to be able to get out and enjoy some fresh air and touch grass and feel like a human again. Like I stay in the house 90% of the time unless we go on these family trips, and then when I'm out, I absolutely love it. So it was nice to be able to get out and do stuff with the family and have a really good time doing it. So we really enjoyed ourselves. And right as we were leaving the park, I mentioned that I was a little bummed out because we didn't really see a whole lot of animals. It was really warm, but it wasn't that warm. It was like 84 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way. It was like 84 degrees, and I knew the animals would be like finding shelter, like finding shade because of the heat. But I didn't think it would be like we wouldn't see any animals. And the only thing we had pretty much saw were the prairie dogs and the one bison. And I'm like, you know, where the views are amazing, part of the experience is seeing the animals kind of like walking around. And I feel kind of bad because a lot of times when I go, I always sit there and I'm like, kind of like, I want to go up to the animals and just be like, hey, do cool animal stuff. Like, you ever go to like a zoo or something and you see the animals and they're just kind of like laying around and you just want to go over and like poke it and be like, do some cool animal stuff. That's kind of how I am when we go to the Badlands, because usually you'll see like the animals walking around or just like laying down on the ground, and I'm just like, no, do cool animal stuff. Like, I don't know what cool animal stuff I'm expecting these animals to do, but I just want them to do cool animal stuff. And so Mr. Coffee's like, what do you want it to do? Get up and dance? I'm like, I don't know. I just was kind of hoping we would see more than a sleeping bison and a couple of prairie dogs. Well, no sooner did I said that, as we're driving out of the park, right by the ranger station, which is like what you have to pass before you leave the park, was a herd of bison just coming down the road, all sizes, all shapes, just coming down the road. And I'm like, oh God. And he's like, well, looks like we're pulling over. So we had to pull over to let them pass because they literally were taking up the entire road. So there wasn't even like we could drive past them because they had taken up the entire freaking road, and the road ain't but so big. So we pull over and I start recording because I had started recording, like I had some of my Patreon vlog that I was doing, and I was like, I wanted to show the Patreons like the bisons walking down the street. Well, one bison decided it was going to choose violence on my mental health, and I totally pulled a Karen. Now, first thing, one, if your name is Karen, I apologize, but it's a thing. You already know. Two, I pulled a straight Karen because one of the bisons looked like it was walking directly at our car. And I got scared because the only thing I could think of was, it's going to come over here. It's going to try to put its head in my window. Everybody's just going to be like, oh, look at the bison. Then it's going to snatch me up out of the window and take me and go eat me somewhere in the woods. Okay. I'm not about that life. Not about that life. So I was like, nope. So I was like, oh shit. So I rolled the window up so it can't come get me. Meanwhile, it wasn't coming anywhere near us. Apparently it was just finding the trail that we had parked close to, and it was going to go walk on the trail. And a bunch of them followed that particular bison onto the trail. So it looked like they all were coming towards us. And that was an experience. And Mr. Coffee's like, what do you think that window's going to do against a bison? Protect me for like 30 seconds? Like, I haven't done anything to provoke the bison, so it wouldn't just come after you. But I'm not trying to get on this shit list either. So I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So I went ahead and just, rolled up the window. So then we go to leave, and Mr. Coffee's all excited because he's like, oh, it's dinner time now. And I was like, yeah, where are we going for dinner? He's like, oh, we're in the Badlands. We're going to Taco Bell. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, again, for those who don't know, we don't have a Taco Bell where I live. So you kind of have to travel to get to, like, the closest one, which this one, I believe, is the closest one to us, which is an hour and some change away. So we decided that we were going to go ahead and go get tacos. And Ryan's like, can we get Subway? Now, typically when we go on this trip, we do get Subway. It's a healthier food option. I don't like eating a bunch of junk food, trying to watch the weight. Because at this point, at this age in my life, if I look at food, I'll gain a few pounds. So I'm just like, we try to keep it healthy, but it's Taco Bell. Okay? It's Taco Bell. So we were all excited, and plus with with Subway, I've had too many bad experiences. Most of them coming from PA, and I know we're in a completely different state in the completely opposite side of the U.S. But sorry, I got hyper focused there for a second. But you still have a 50-50 chance of what you're going to get from Subway. Okay, the one where I live now, I got completely disgusted by it, and I refuse to eat there ever again. It's the one that we have inside of our Walmart, and they always have flies flying around in this particular Subway, and I've watched them making people sandwiches and not covering the food back up, and flies landing on the food and stuff. And after I saw that, I was like, yep, nope, we'll never eat at this Subway again, and haven't. And then in PA, you had a 50-50 shot of whether or not your bread was going to be fresh or not. So are you going to get fresh bread, or are you going to get a piece of bread or a thing of bread that you could beat a small woodland creature to death with? Okay, there's no in between when it comes to Subway. So I don't like taking that chance and wasting money. So I was like, oh, tonight, dude, let's get Taco Bell. And he goes, okay. So we go over to Taco Bell. Everybody's excited for tacos, and they already know what they want. And Maggie's like, oh, I want a smothered taco like Mommy always gets. And I was like, oh, shit, Maggie actually wants like a real meal. She doesn't want a kid's meal. Maggie usually goes for the kid's meal, but she didn't want a kid's meal this time. Maggie has decided she is a big girl, and she wants regular food, so she wanted like the smothered burrito that I always get. Well, we get to Taco Bell. Everybody's so excited, and Mr. Coffee's like, wow, their parking lot's kind of empty. Couldn't figure out why. Here, it's because they were closed. They were closed. They were closed for maintenance. And I was just like, no, why? Come on. But there's also another restaurant we don't get to go to often. And if you didn't already know, feel free to leave multiple comments, as I do ask a lot of questions, and the number one comment I get is, I forgot what all questions you asked. So feel free to stop and pause the video and answer the question if you feel like obligated to do so, or if you feel inclined, I shouldn't say obligated, inclined to do so. Burger King or McDonald's? Yeah, I just started a fight. Burger King or McDonald's? I am team McDonald's, or sorry, no, I'm not. I'm team Burger King, don't like McDonald's. I do not like McDonald's. Any place that can't get their ice cream machine fixed, I don't like, okay? So I'm sitting there, and Mr. Coffee's like, well, I guess we're going to Burger King. And I was like, yay, let's go. So, sorry, I had to check to make sure. Yeah, no, that's fine. But I'm not a big fan of McDonald's. I do not like McDonald's. I don't like to eat at McDonald's. Everything at McDonald's upsets my stomach nowadays, which is great, because then that gives me a good excuse as to why we can't go to McDonald's. The kids typically will ask for other things. Like Maggie's big thing is she loves Slim Chickens, though she just gets a salad. I don't get it, but it is what it is. Orion pretty much likes anything with burgers. He doesn't really have a preference or care, just as long as they have good burgers. And I'm not the picky eater, so I will eat just about anything. Whereas most of the people in the house are picky eaters. So like Mr. Coffee won't eat certain things, and then certain things that Mr. Coffee will eat, the kids won't eat, or, you know, I can't eat. So it makes it difficult when, if it wasn't already difficult to plan dinner, now we're having to figure out what to do on the road for dinner. So we decided we were going to go to Burger King, and we ended up going to Burger King and then going home. It was a great night. We had a great time. Then came Friday. So Friday, Mr. Coffee was like, what are we going to do today? And we asked the kids, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to the Badlands on the south end, or do you want to go to the zoo? Now, I told Mr. Coffee, I was like, look, I know we're not the richest, and I know we have bills coming up, and we really can't afford to be out here spending a bunch of money. I'm like, but can we please go by the gift shop this time? We've been by the gift shop like 2 years ago, but we don't get to go to the gift shop often because we're usually really broke. The trip itself, between gas and snacks and dinner, we don't typically have a lot of money to go to the gift shop, which upsets me because we work really hard and still, you know, still struggle a little bit. Like, we're still paycheck to paycheck. So don't think just because I'm a YouTuber or whatever and I have so many followers that I'm rich. I am very much paycheck to paycheck type creator. How about that? So I was like, you know, I'll figure out something, whether I have to sell kits or whatever. I will figure out something, but I really want to go to the gift shop. And he goes, as long as we can figure out bills, you know, we should be fine. And rent's coming up. That was his big thing, is he doesn't like messing with the rent check. So he's like, as long as we can figure out bills, we should be fine. So I was like, all right. So I'm sitting there, and the kids had decided that they wanted to go to the zoo. So Friday we went to the zoo. Driving out there was horrendous because it was hot. I think it was 86 that day. The good thing is, again, about North Dakota is that there's not many trees, so you're getting a nice cool breeze on top of course, you know, driving. The speed limit here makes sure that you get enough air because the speed limit on the highway here is 75, depending on where you're at. Some places it's 75, some places it's 80, but for the most part it's 75. And so we get to the zoo, and the normal suspects are there. The pandas, the gibbons. Gibbons are like a monkey, and they make like this weird like song-looking sound. And it tells you, like, Maggie likes seeing these monkeys because when you talk to them, they'll start making this, you know, weird song or sound that they call the gibbon song. And I was like, what is the gibbon song? And the first time they did it, I was like, I thought this was a siren out of a horror movie. It's this monkey making all this noise. So she immediately, when we get to the thing, was like, you know, Mommy, can we go see the sloth? And I was like, okay. Because when you walk in the door of the zoo, there is a sloth right ahead of you. And usually the sloth is sleeping by the time we get there. And of course he was. He slept the entire time we were there. And he has like this little crate that he sleeps in right by the gift shop. And Maggie's like sitting there, and I'm like, don't tap on the glass, don't touch the glass, we're just gonna leave the sloth to sleep. And she goes, all right, fine. So then we go over and see the snake that they have, and the tarantula, and there was like a lizard in one of the things. Gotta make sure this is down correctly. There we go. Make sure that's down. I feel it raised up. Oh, there it is. Alright. Does anybody else rub their drills? Of course you do. I'm not the only one that does that. Anyways, so we get to the gift shop, and I looked at Mr. Coffee. I was like, can we please just get a couple of things from the gift shop? You know, I really want to get some stuff. And he's like, all right, fine. So he lets everybody pick out like 1 or 2 things. And they have this cool thing there where you could pull a bag of rocks for $6. Like, it's one of those like cute like velour drawstring bags. They have like the little ones, and you get to pick these really colorful type of rocks. And if you can fit them in the bag and close the bag, you can have the bag of rocks for $6. So I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. So we went and got some rocks because, you know, we ain't doing nothing with them, but they're ours now. They're our problem now. So we then go to enter into the zoo, and Maggie immediately runs over to the gibbon cage, and she starts talking to this little monkey, and the little monkey starts making this siren noise and then would not stop. I don't know what exactly he thought Maggie said to him, but he was not happy about it. He was giving her a mouthful, and Maggie was just chuckling it up because this little monkey kept making all these noises because she kept talking to it. And it was swinging around its cage, like its little enclosure, and every time it would come back to her, she'd be like, she'd say something else to it, and then it would swing around again. We must have sat there for 20 minutes while she was playing this little game with this little monkey, and I'm just sitting there laughing like, this is how my day is going. My daughter is communicating with this monkey, and the monkey thinks it's the best thing ever. So, yeah. It was kind of sad, though, because a couple of the animals had just recently lost their spouses. And so some of the animals weren't in the best of moods to be, like, viewed at the zoo. There was a giraffe that had just lost its spouse. They had a 1-year-old little baby giraffe. And the mother giraffe was kind of, like, sad. So she just kind of stayed off to herself. And the baby kept, like, kind of walking around. It got really close to us. Like, we could have reached our hand out and touched it. It was so close to us. And it was eating some of the, like, the branches or something right above our head, which was kind of cool. We saw a lot of the same animals that we saw last time. We even saw Fred the red panda, which if you saw the picture of the red panda online with his tongue sticking out, that's Fred. Fred is a red panda that they have at this zoo, and he has a really big attitude for a little animal. And so, like, anytime somebody would come up or try to take a picture of him, he would stick his tongue out. So it wasn't like he was just sitting there like that. He literally did that because I pulled out my phone and tried to take a picture of him. There's another one in that enclosure, but it was still inside, which is one of the things I like about this particular zoo, is that the animals aren't just stuck outside. They have the enclosure for them where it's heated and cooled off to their specifications of where they're from. So, like, a lot of the animals were in the enclosures because, or the indoor enclosures because of the heat. But it wasn't really that hot. But to an animal, I'm sure it was probably scorching. So some of the animals were in there, but you were still able to see them. And then we found out that there's another part of this park that we had never been to, and I was like, whoa. So we go to what they call the north end of this park. And at the north end, they have the petting zoo. So they had, like, sheep and chickens and goats, and then they had books with stories in them about, like next to the sheep, they had Mary Had a Little Lamb and 3 Billy Goats Gruff, which I haven't seen in forever. And next to the chickens, they had a story. And I just thought that was really cool. And I was like, how is it that we missed this last time? And the reason we missed it was because that part of the park closes 30 minutes before the park closes. So we missed it because it was closed by the time we got here the first time that we went to the zoo. So I was like, oh, okay. So we're looking on the directory to see what all animals they have in there. And I'm like, oh, it says a petting zoo. And they have those machines where you can put a quarter in and turn it, and it'll give you some pellets to feed the animals. So the kids got to feed and pet the animals in the petting zoo area. And then right next to the petting zoo area was the enclosure for the sea otters. And Mr. Coffee was super excited because he's like, they're like ferrets for the water. They're water ferrets. And I was like, oh, okay. I think he was more excited about those seals or the otters than the kids were to be at the zoo, to be honest, because, like, he didn't want to leave the enclosure, and they shot the information over the intercom saying that they were closing soon, and he's like, but I don't want to leave them. Sir, can we please go look at the rest of these animals in here? Because there was one particular animal that I wanted to see that I didn't realize that they had. They have a wolf, or they have a couple of wolves at this zoo, and I was like, wait, hold up, you have wolves? Y'all, they have 2 wolves in this zoo. And I was like, oh, snap. And I'm like, I'm going to guess the wolves are the animals that are sitting behind the barbed wire fence with the other fence 2 inches away from it with a thing on it. Yeah, I'm going to guess this is for the wolves. It was like an electric fence inside of a fence. So I was just like, oh, okay, so don't get close to it. Maggie, of course, is like, what happens if you do? Why are you so curious about things? Why are you like this? But the wolves were hiding, so we didn't get the chance to see them. So Mr. Coffee was like, well, maybe we can come back when it's, you know, a little bit cooler. And I asked the zookeeper, I was like, you know, are you taking donations? And she's like, donations? What do you mean? And she's like, the zoo always takes donations if you would like to donate to helping us take care of the animals and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that I already know. We already did that because at the front office, they'll ask you if you want to donate anything to the park to help keep it running and stuff. And we always try to donate, you know, a couple of bucks here and there. So, I was like, no, I have this feral child, and I think she'd make a great addition to your park. And Maggie's just sitting there like, I can cartwheel. And I was like, yeah, y'all taking donations? And the lady just kind of laughed, and she goes, not at this time, but she is cute. I'm like, yeah, that she is. And so we did get to have a lot of fun at the zoo, seeing some of the animals we hadn't seen before, seeing some that we had seen, and seeing how much they grew in 2 years. So we had a lot of fun at the zoo. Next up was the south end of the Badlands. Now, we've never taken the south and north end in the same week. And by the time we got home from the zoo, sorry, I'm stretching. By the time we got home from the zoo, everybody was exhausted. That's a 2-hour drive back. We didn't get back until like midnight. Everybody's exhausted. I was excited though, because if nothing else, I did get to go to the souvenir shop, and I was just like, oh, this is wonderful. I love this. All right, sorry about that. Wanted to change colors, and they're mowing outside, so it's getting a little loud. But yeah, so we had a great time at the zoo, saw some new animals we hadn't seen before, got to go to a different side of the park than we were used to, because usually by the time we get there, it's closed. So we had a great time. So then Mr. Coffee's like, oh, there's a Taco Bell near here. Maybe we can do a part 2. And I was like, oh, well, let's go. So we go to head over to the Taco Bell here. It was closed. It was closed. It was later in the evening when we left the zoo, and it was closed. And I was a little upset about that. Poor Mr. Coffee ain't never going to get those tacos. But yeah, so let's see here. That's number 4. So, oh, the other thing at the zoo is it was really sad, because not only I said about the giraffe that had lost their mate, there was a bird that had lost their mate, and on the sign it said, I'm not ready to talk about it. And I was like, oh, well, what does that mean? So we read the sign, and it said that the bird's mate had passed away like 4 months ago, and they noticed the bird getting more irritated at the music that they always play for it. And so they were asking that you don't touch the cage or the enclosure that it was in. And it was one of the few birds that had glass, like a plexiglass covering over the gate where it's at, just so people don't put their hands up there, because if you did, they were afraid that it would peck at your hand. So I was like, that's so sad. Like, I felt really bad. But we had a good time. We got to see some bears. Last time we went, we only saw one of the bears, but this time we got to see 3 of them. And we were trying to figure out, like, we're wondering, so if you are a zookeeper or somebody that works at a zoo, because we get all kinds of people here at the coffee house, do you think that they take animals from other zoos and mix them in at zoos all over the place so that there's not, like, incest when it comes to, like, breeding and stuff? Because we noticed that in the giraffe's enclosure, they did want her to breed again, but because she had just lost her spouse, they didn't think she would. And they had put in a male, but the male was from, like, Arizona, like an Arizona zoo. They had brought in a male from Arizona, and I was just like, I wonder if they just randomly take animals from other places so that there's not incest going on with the other animals or whatnot. So, if you know the answer to that, let me know, because we noticed, like, even with the bears, 2 of the bears were from Alaska, and 1 of the bears was from Montana. And I was just like, I don't see people just randomly going out, finding these animals, and being like, you know what, North Dakota, that seems like a perfect place for a bear. So I'm just curious as to how they figure out, like, where and how to get the animals for the zoo. But, yeah, so we missed Taco Bell again. Because it was just actually closed this time. They apparently closed early because they were short-staffed. according to the sign. So we ended up having to go find somewhere else to eat, which I believe, where did we go? I want to say we had Burger King that night as well. I think we ended up having Burger King 3 nights in a row. Did we? I don't remember. Either way, that's not important. So we got back late. Everybody was tired. The next morning, we get up, and Mr. Coffee again takes a little bit longer to get up than everybody else. His back had been bothering him from sitting in the car for so long yesterday, or Friday, and everybody was just kind of like getting up, getting showers, and as I got ready, Mr. Coffee woke up, and I was just like, yeah, today we're going to the South End, and he's like, okay. I go downstairs, and Maggie's sitting there, and she goes, are we gonna see more buffalo today? I really want to see the buffalo. We have to make sure that they're okay. And I'm like, yes, Tootsie, we're gonna go see the buffalo today. So we head out, we go get our snacks, take the long trip, another 2-hour trip in the opposite direction, I think, that we took the day before. So it's 2 hours a different direction. Now, the last time, matter of fact, I think it was the zoo that we went to. The last time we went to the zoo is when we got the ferrets, because that was in a town where we also went school shopping for the kids, and we happened to be at, like, right next to the pet store, and so we went ahead and apparently bought the ferrets the last time we went to that particular area. So I was like, we're not even going to that area this time. Like, we're not doing it. So we completely stayed away from the pet store because Mr. Coffee had been talking about wanting to get more ferrets. Look, listen, if you've ever owned ferrets, you know how much work they are. Mr. Coffee works a lot, okay? He doesn't have to deal with them as much as I do. And I'm like, sir, no, we're not getting any more. 2 is enough. No, that's not what we're doing. So, yeah. And then we find out that apparently at the south end of the Badlands, Mr. Coffee found out, because he was looking for something. Apparently there have now been spotted some Blackfoot ferrets. And he goes, if I find one of these ferrets, I'm like, if you find it, you're not bringing it home. Y'all, this man was on a mission to find these freaking ferrets. Either way, we take the long trip down to the south end of the Badlands. And this day, Saturday, was hot. Okay, it was 90 degrees. There was a slight breeze, but it was 90 degrees. It was hot as balls Saturday. And we left mid-afternoon. And I'm like, one, I know I'm not going to see any animals because it's way too motherfucking hot. Like, it was hot. And I'm talking about that type of hot where you get in the car and the buckle burns you because it's so hot. Now, typically, my car is left in our garage, okay? I leave it in the garage, so typically it's not sitting in direct sunlight. But I also have leather seats in my car, and the leather seats and the buckle, look, listen, the way you'll give yourself third-degree burns. So I try to keep my car parked in shaded areas because, yeah, no, where the car is nice and it's like, oh, look at this really nice car. Yeah, no, this car will turn into a death trap in the summer if you leave it out in direct sun. No, I'm not with that life. So we make the long trip down to the south end of the Badlands. And when we finally get there, the town is rocking, okay? This town is rocking. They had a festival happening. There was the Cowboy Hall of Fame had a show going on. And then the Theodore Roosevelt, there's like a theater that had something going on. And I was like, there's a lot of people here. We had to park almost a block or 2 away at the ranger station just to get parking. And then I told Mr. Coffee again, I'm like, I would like to go to the gift shop. Now, any other time we've gone to the Badlands on the South Unit, which was, again, we haven't been for like 2 years. But anytime we've tried going, the shops in that area have been closed. And I told Mr. Coffee, I'm like, I don't care what's going on. Again, I will figure out the rent, whether I had to sell diamond paintings or pens or whatever. I'm like, we'll do what we have to do to get the rent up. But I really want to go look at some of the stores. Now, if you haven't noticed, I'm not really what you would call a Western type girl. So I don't do like the cowboy boots and the Stetson and like Western stuff. So I didn't think I was going to be buying anything. And when I went into this store, I went into the store, and immediately when you go in and you see like all these like kitchenware utensils and like just like, you know, random knickknacks and stuff, and then you see jewelry and like Native American or indigenous artwork and like merchandise like dresses and belts and stuff like that. They had a couple of cool, like, really cool pictures of the Badlands and animals spotted in the Badlands taken by, you know, a professional photographer that takes pictures for them that you could buy prints of. And they had, like, some wood carvings, and like they had a little bit of everything in this store. And this store was a lot bigger, and we kept passing by this store. And I think the last time we went, it was open, but I didn't want to go in there because I'm like, there ain't nothing in there that I'm going to want. Like, that ain't it. Again, I don't do Western stuff. So we decided this time to go in there just to see what they had because we'd never been in there before. So we go in there, y'all. They had so much beautiful stuff in this store. I was just shook. And Mr. Coffee's like, I didn't think you would like anything in here. I'm like, I didn't think I was going to like anything in here either because usually I don't like Western stuff. And the Western stuff was the least of my concerns. They had all kinds of like amethyst stones and like just all this cool stuff. And so I grab this blanket and I looked at Mr. Coffee and I was like, look how cool this blanket is. And he's like, oh, it is a cool blanket. And I'm thinking, it's 90 degrees outside. I'm not carrying this freaking thing. So I put it away. And he's like, well, let's go look at the other stores and see what they got. Maybe they have other stuff that might interest you. And I was like, okay. So we leave that store. We go to a different store. The other store it looked like an overpriced toy store. And I'm like, yeah, no, there's nothing really in. Even the kids were just like, these are baby toys. So we left that store, went to a different store. And the other store, they had all kinds of things. Bracelets, the wood carvings, the just like the first store did. They had just a little bit more. And then they had like this really cool bag. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I was telling Mr. Coffee, I'm like, I don't typically wear a purse. I usually wear a backpack. But I'll make sure I put that in the right bag. But I'm like, I want something smaller for when I'm like going to the store real quick. I don't need to take a whole ass backpack with me. Plus, people kind of look at you funny when you're wearing a backpack in the Walmart, okay? So I was like, you know, I want something a little bit smaller that I can take with me. And they had this really cool over-the-shoulder bag that's like crossed over the shoulder. So it goes across like your chest. And so I got one of those. And they had this really pretty buffalo blanket. Now, I've been obsessed with buffalo since we moved here. And I know the buffalo are really bison. I am aware of this. But I've been obsessed since we moved here. And I've wanted like buffalo stuff, but we've never really had the money. And I asked Mr. Coffee, I'm like, please, please, please let me get this. And he's like, hun, if you want to get it, we can get it. We're just gonna have to figure out bills and stuff, you know, when we get back. And that's always been our biggest hang up is we try to stay financially responsible when it comes to paying bills and stuff, especially like our rent and everything. So typically we would just not get anything because, you know, we have the money to get there and hang out, but we don't have the money to spend on random things. So this time I was like, you know, let's just enjoy the day and, you know, we'll try to take it easy and not buy up the whole store or anything, just maybe a couple of knickknacks for the house. And he goes, okay. So I see the bag the over-the-shoulder bag I wanted, and I was just like, okay. They had some ID cards for you to carry around like an ID in, but it had a lanyard on it, and I've been looking for those for the kids, so I got a couple of those. The kids got those like warmer pets. They're the little stuffed animals that they have the bag inside of them, and you warm it up. And it's supposed to help the child sleep, or if they have like a stomach ache or, you know, whatever. It's supposed to help soothe that. Orion found like a rice bag with cat print on it, and he got that. Mr. Coffee was looking for stuff. He's like, I don't really like anything in here, though. And I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. You know, it's whatever. So I got the blanket and everything, and I was like, can we go back to that first store? Because there was something I was looking at the store that I really wanted. And he goes, okay. So we then head back over to the first store we went into. And it's a big store, but it was very cramped. Not because of the people or anything in it, but because it was wide, or it was long and not wide. So we're like shuffling through. Got another side open. we're like shuffling through the crowd of people and everything. And I think it might actually be time to open up another bag of drills. So I'm going to pause you real quick. Okay, so I thought I had more of this color, but I don't. So I'm guessing there's not that much left of this color. So we'll see. We'll see. Either way. So we go to the first store that we originally passed up because I didn't think there was anything in there that I wanted. And I did see, well, okay, there was one thing that I saw that I might potentially want, but I wanted to make sure that if we go to the other stores, I wasn't going to spend a whole bunch of money. Because the little item that I wanted, it wasn't too expensive. It was like 40 bucks. But I was like, if I see something better at another store or something, you know, it could be cheaper at another store, since they both sold wood carvings and I knew they both did, I was like, I'm going to just get it at the other store if I can find it cheaper. It was actually more expensive at the other store, so I went back to the first store. And as we're in the store, there are like little statuettes of like random things and like Theodore Roosevelt and these like type of arrowheads and everything. Well, there was a nativity scene, okay? There was a nativity scene. And I'm sitting here minding my own crafty business. Now, you guys know I am not a religious person. I have my own beliefs and things. And I'm not a religious person. But, like, I'm sitting there and I'm, like, looking at this little nativity scene because it's something, like, I hadn't seen before. Just because of the way, like, it was set up. And I don't know if somebody set it up like that on purpose. Or if, like, somebody was messing with it and that's how they put it back. But the way they had it was, like, it looked like almost like a scene out of Lion King, where Mary was holding up baby Jesus. And I was like, that's kind of funny. So I just kind of walked past it, not thinking anything. And Mr. Coffee had called my attention to something because they had like these really cute salt and pepper shakers, like the little decorative ones. And when he caught my attention, I turned around. Now, when I turned around, I didn't know that the big bag that I was holding with a blanket in it was going to hit the nativity scene. And it hit it. And when it hit the nativity scene, it knocked Mary to the side. As it knocked Mary to the side, she dropped baby Jesus. I didn't knock him over. Mary dropped it. I have come to this conclusion. It was not me. It was Mary. So I knocked over this little statue of baby Jesus, to which the shop owner comes running over. And she's like, oh, sweet stars. Oh, the baby Jesus. And I'm like, this lady was acting like this thing was real. Now take it. By this time, like a crowd, not a crowd, but a few women had started gathering around me. And all I can think of is, I'm going straight to hell. I am going straight to hell. I just knocked over baby Jesus, Lord. And the lady's like, there's one lady like clutching a crucifix necklace that she has and looking at, like, they're like scowling at me because I knocked over the statue. One, it was on accident. Calm down. Two, that is not a real baby. It's a sculpture. And it wasn't like Jesus made it himself. It was something, you know, that was just in their store. But the lady's like cradling this little baby Jesus and she puts it back on how it was supposed to be on the little thing. And she's like, please be careful with your bags. And if you would like for me to hold it up front, I can do that for you. But please be careful. And I'm like, I apologize. My bad. Like, I didn't come in there with that big bag just to come over and knock over baby Jesus. Okay. So they're like standing around me. But as they're standing around me, I noticed that my family, so Mr. Coffee and the kids, had taken a step back so that they could like surround me. And I'm sitting there looking around like, hello? Why are y'all standing back there? And the reason this was so funny was because when we were walking around the Badlands on Tuesday, the kids would not stop following me. So I was like, okay, why are y'all following me so closely? Like anytime I would move, they were right in foot. They would step right with me. And I'm like, stop following me. And that's how they've been pretty much the entire 2 days that we had been out. Was every time I take a step, they take a step. Every time I move, they move. And I'm like, stop it. Meanwhile, Mr. Coffee's like wandering off to God knows where. And they wouldn't follow him, but they always followed me. And I'm like, stop following me. Your dad is right there. Like, he's not going to leave us here. And so the kids kind of like sat there confused, like, but Mom, we always follow you. And I'm like, yeah, stop it. What if I jump off one of these cliffs? You gonna follow me then? Maggie goes, probably. Okay, whatever. So we get the little statue that I wanted out of this store, and then they had a baby statue to match it, and I was like, can I get the baby statue? So I got these wood carvings. They're handcrafted wood carvings of a buffalo, and I was super excited to get them. After spending close to $250 at these shops, I was like, that's enough shopping. We're good. We're good. I can make up $250, no problem. Mr. Coffee is like, might be a little bit more than that. Oh, well, goddamn. So, so I had to come up with $500 to help like pay bills and stuff. So I was like, all right, no biggie. I'll, again, I can sell diamond paintings. I can, do a number of things to get the money up if I really need to. And so I was like, whatever. I'm not going to stress myself out and worry about that right now because I'm just trying to have a good time. And worrying about the bills is not something I want to do on my little mini vacay. So I'm like, yeah, I don't care about the bills right now. But you best believe first thing this morning, which today is Monday, you best believe first thing this morning, I was worried about those bills. I was worried about those bills. So, yeah, so we finished in the gift shop, and Mr. Coffee is taking us up to the park, because this gift shop and stuff is right before you get, like, it's before you get into the park, so you have to drive a little bit of a distance to get into the park. And they also had a gift shop for the Badlands in this shop, and I was like, can we just go look? And he's like, is it because you want to buy something? And I was like, no, I just want to go look to see what they have. I actually didn't buy anything. There wasn't anything in there that I was like, oh, I have to have this. And I've been trying to stop myself from buying all these stuffed animals. I've been trying to stop myself from buying all these stuffed animals. So I was like, no, I just want to see what they have. And they had like some cool stuff in there, but it wasn't really anything that I was like, goo goo gaga over or like whatever. Like, I already have a stuffed buffalo. I already have the wood carved buffaloes, and I found some, Mr. Coffee actually found the cute fox stuff. So if you saw on Instagram, I had some really cute fox stuff, which, where's that basket? This is one of the items here. It's a planter. So it's felted, and there's seeds in it right now. But you put like a planter in there, and you can grow flowers and stuff in it. So it's like a little felted planter that we found, or that Mr. Coffee found. And then he found this adorable little tin. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for. There's a number of things that I could use it for. But there's like foxes all over it. And I was just like, oh my god, that's so cute. And then there's a little fox on the back of it too. So I thought that was really cute. And I was happy that he got that for me. And then there was like the little wood carvings, which, hold on, I can go grab the wood carvings. All right, I'm trying to be really careful with this. So we have the baby buffalo one that I got. Isn't it cute? And again, these are hand carved. Little buffalo. And then we got the bigger buffalo, which I'm not sure why they did this over the eye parts, because a lot of the buffaloes in the Badlands, like they did it to this one too. They do have like their entire face covered, and usually is covered in like the thick curly fur. But it goes all the way down, but I'm guessing they wanted to leave it for the mouth to be out. And then I was trying to figure out what that was earlier. It's its little tail, because they do have tails, which is why I was weird, because this one doesn't have a tail. It just had like a little notch where its little tail should be. So those are the wood carvings that I got that I thought were really cool. And so I was really happy that we got to go to the gift shop, because again, anytime we've gone, it's been closed. So it was nice to be able to go in and see what they had and go get a couple of things. And then the blanket, oh my god, the blanket. The blanket was so nice. It's a Sherpa blanket, and it's double lined. And I was like, winter is coming, let's freaking go. Now, we go into the park, and oh my god, y'all, I was so sick of seeing horses by the time we left. There were, we've gone before, and we've seen like some wild horses at the Badlands, the south end. There are a lot of wild horses in the Badlands. I didn't realize how many, because typically when you see a horse, it's not wild. It's domesticated, or whatever you would call it, tamed. But these horses are wild, as in they live at the park. And we thought that, you know, there was a couple of them in there, but not a whole lot. No, y'all, we must have seen at least 50 wild horses while we were there. And every time we turned around, there was a new herd of them. And I was just like, are we seeing the same herd? Like, one herd had a bunch of little babies with it. One herd had like a lot of like darker colored horses. One herd had a lot of light colored horses. And one herd was like a lot of gray colored horses. It was really weird how they were like kind of separated, if you will. Like, it was just weird to me. And so I was like, are we seeing the same bunch of horses? I swear this one horse was in every pack we saw. It was like a brownish horse, but it had like spots. And then I think there was one horse, like one little baby horse that looked like a cow. And Maggie affectionately have called that particular horse Moo Moo. I'm pretty sure many other people who have seen it have probably also called it Moo Moo. But there was tons of horses. That we didn't really see a whole lot of other animals. There was antelope when we first went in. We were trying to figure out what it was, to be honest, because when we got there, I thought it was like deer. And I went to go Google it, but we didn't have the best reception. So I sent a message over to Jeremy, and I was like, hey, dude, what kind of animal is this? My Google isn't working right now. He's like, antelope. Thanks. So we did see some antelope at the beginning of the park with some wild horses. And then as we got further into the park, a lot of it was just scenery. That park also, if I remember correctly, the reason we didn't go last year is because the park was on fire. It was affected by a forest fire that we had here in North Dakota last year or the year before last. And half of it was on fire. So they kept the park closed until they could contain the fire and get all the fire out and assess the damage and everything else. And make sure like the animals were okay, and that, you know, if any of them got hurt, that they, you know, went ahead and took care of it. And so that's why we didn't go last year. So to come back this year, a lot of the damage has been essentially regrown over. So like the grass that was all burnt is now no longer burnt. The trees that were burned just kind of, they look very dead, but they're still there. Like, nobody's gonna go pull up all these trees. But everything was just so green. We've had a very wet winter this year. And so everything was just so vibrant and flourishing. And it was so nice to see that. And I was a little disappointed again, because I was kind of really hoping that we would see more animals. But we didn't see as many as I would like. As we went to leave, we saw a deer. Like a baby deer. Are those called doe? I think those are called doe. But right at the exit of the park, people had pulled over, and I saw people like looking at stuff. Now, when you're in the park, if you see someone who's pulled over and they're hanging out of their vehicle, or you see like their hands hanging out of the vehicle with their phone, typically means they saw something. So we see like buffalo in the clearing of the trees, and Mr. Coffee's like, did you want to turn around and go look? And I was like, yeah. And the kids got really excited because, of course, you know, buffalo. And so when we went to go turn around, there was a road that was closed that we were going past. And the road that was closed is where all the buffalo were. There was a massive herd of buffalo behind this road closed signs. And I'm not sure why, but there was a massive herd of buffalo back there. And I was just like, oh, pull over here. We can just go take a look, because there was already people like gathering over there to see them. Y'all, I'm not joking. There had to have been at least 100 buffalo in this one area. They were just running around and just doing their thing. And I was just like, oh my God, there's so many buffaloes. So we did get to see more buffaloes. So we had an amazing time. And by the time we got home, everybody was tired again. Everybody's worn out. Everybody's just ready to go to sleep. I had the kids take a shower. I got a shower. Mr. Coffee's like, I'll shower in the morning because I'm tired and I don't feel like waiting for the hot water to heat back up because everybody else done got a shower. And I was like, all right. And Maggie looks at me and she's like, Mom. I'm like, yeah, Tootsie. She was getting ready to go to bed. She goes, I had fun. I'm like, I'm glad you had fun, Tootsie. She goes, we don't have to leave the house again tomorrow, do we? I'm like, no, Tootsie. We're staying home tomorrow. And Ryan's like, oh, thank God. And I was like, what, y'all didn't want to go out the house? And they're like, no, we did, but now we're tired of it. We just want to stay home now. And I was like, oh, okay. My family's is very much hermits when it comes to doing adventures like this. So they very much just want to stay in the house now. So it's just like, that's fine because Daddy goes back to work tomorrow. Well, Maggie got a little sad about that because, you know, if it, obviously anybody would be like that if they could stay home and make what they're making now. Of course they would take it. So, yesterday we spent the day relaxing. I did stream on Twitch for a little bit. And then today I actually am going live with another creative on Twitch. Her name is Kim for the day. We're going live and doing a collab stream where we're going to diamond paint and do some fun things. So hopefully if you're not busy or you were looking for something to do this evening, I think it's going to be around 6 o'clock my time, which is 7 o'clock her time, or it might have been later. I don't remember. I'll have an announcement go up on social media about when we go live, but I'm going live with her today. So that should be fun. But yeah, that was our little adventure. And we had a great time. Minus the whole baby Jesus. Look, listen. I did not mean to knock over that baby Jesus. But it didn't break or anything, by the way, for those wondering. It didn't break or anything. It's just, I just happened, it bounced off the floor like twice. So it was fine. It was fine. People are just a little dramatic, apparently. But I should probably get going because I did promise the kids we would go to the pool today because we're in our heat wave now. So, which is great because we've chosen a great time for his vacation. So for the week, this week, we're supposed to be in the 90s all week. And I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm in the air conditioner. I don't give a crap. I don't go outside anyways. So we're hitting a heat wave, and I promised the kids today that I would take them to the pool when I was done if they could behave while I recorded my video. And seeing as how I haven't seen either one of them come out of their rooms, I'm gonna say that they're looking forward to going to the pool. So we're gonna go swim for a little bit today. So I hope you guys continue to have a great rest of your day. We're gonna end it there, but thank you guys so much for coming and visiting us here at the coffee house. We always love seeing your beautiful face. But with that said, I must now bid you adieu. But not before reminding you that it's hard out here in these crafty streets. Please stay safe. But I must now bid you adieu. But not for reminding you that it's hard out here in these crafty streets. Please stay safe and always remember to be kind to others because you never know what somebody else is going through. Be courteous because it's the right thing to do, and always stay cool. Bye, guys.